Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Maria Gonçalves podcast. And today I am your host, Maria Gonçalves, and we have a special guest, Jeffrey Becker, a spiritual medium all the way from Netherlands, Holland. So, welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
So, here is a little bio about him. So, Jeffrey is 34 years old and was born and raised in the Netherlands. Both of his parents hail from the beautiful island of Curacao. Did I say that right? Curacao? Because I'm
Curacao,
giving it
yes. Yeah.
the Portuguese accent. Okay. In the Caribbean, he works as a senior court lawyer, criminal law at Amsterdam Court, and is also a spiritual medium. He has studied and been educated at the Academy of Mediumship in Naarden and the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted. With both SNU Spiritualism and Caribbean 21 divisions, spiritual traditions as the foundation of his philosophy, he focuses on providing support to all his brothers and sisters throughout the world and serves spirit in the best possible manner. So, welcome. So excited to have you here. I do have a question for you because I am so curious. Um, because you did study at Arthur Findlay College. Do you go
Mhm.
back every year for Arthur Findlay?
Yeah, I go back now and then. Last year I was there in November or October. It was Trans Week with six amazing tutors: Eileen Davis, Matthew Smith, Andrew Manship, who else? Anne Marie, Kitty Wood, and Eileen Davis.
Oh,
And
wow.
in January I was there again with Penny Hayward. It was a combination with physics. So not only the mediumship, but also with quantum physics, and that was very exciting. So I loved that. It was only a weekend. So I'm thinking about next time do maybe the science week because I love the combination of both the spiritual side from the medium's perspective, but also from the quantum physicist's perspective. Yeah.
So I'm curious, how far is that from where you live? Like plane ride? Is that like two
No,
hours? Is it closer?
no, it's very close. Yeah, it's like only 40 minutes in the plane itself. So like the waiting and the security is longer in total than than in the plane actually. So yeah.
Okay. The reason I ask, I've only gone once to Arthur Findlay. I did a weekend, but I'm in Canada. So it was like
Yeah.
a 6, 7 hour uh airplane ride. So I'm always
Hmm.
curious how long it takes people to get to Arthur Findlay from where they're from.
To get
So
there. Yeah.
I love that. And then you mentioned here your background too within mediumship is Caribbean 21 division.
Hmm.
So what is that? Because I'm like super
Yeah.
curious what that because I don't know.
That is, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
actually, it is a religion that has started back in the days when there were slaves, and the Spanish people they took the slaves from Africa into the Caribbean, and then they wanted them not to honor their own traditions and their own spiritual beliefs, so they wanted to convert them to Christianity. So what the African people did is they pretended to to honor Christianity and to do everything that the Spanish people wanted, but in fact they were keeping their own traditions. So in that way, it became like syncretized. So there's a lot of Christianity in it, but also a lot of what you can compare to shamanism, physical mediumship, trance, what we know from spiritualism. So a combination of those things, and it's very similar to Sansi or to Haitian voodoo. On the Dominican Republic, you have 21 Division, on Curacao as well. So, and you have you have so many different variations, but they are very similar. And it's all in the Caribbean, also in South America. You have those religions and spiritual traditions. So, the most easy way to say is like a combination of Christianity and mediumship, maybe,
Yeah.
of Christianity and spiritualism, maybe. That's yeah.
I find that fascinating. So if you were to get a reading in the Caribbean, would there be a lot of rituals within the reading or no? I'm just
Yes, it
curious.
depends on what you want. Like, if there's a lot of honoring the ancestors, but also doing a lot of cleansing work, spiritual hygiene. That's very important. So it really depends what it is, what you're going to do, what you ask of the medium. So, for example, if you want a spiritual bath to raise your vibration, for example, then it involves like rituals and also a certain there's certain prayers that you need to do before you take the spiritual bath, things like that. But it can also be just only a psychic reading, just like we are used to. So,
Yeah.
or for example, yeah, what else? They can use different tools to read, for example, cigars or cards or water, you know, everything as a tool, like we use cards or we use
Yeah.
sometimes a tool in psychic readings. That's the same way how they can how they use it over there. So it's very diverse practice. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love that. And the reason I asked that was a few years ago, I think it was 2018, I went to Portugal. My dad had had a stroke. And while we were there, somebody told me about a local medium. And I went to see her because I was curious how she did mediumship, and her mediumship, the way she explained it to me, and I'm trying to remember, there was a lot of rituals within it. There were different altars. Uh, there was money. We had to pay passage to the spirit world. So I'm always
Mhm.
curious about different cultures, different religions, and how mediumship is presented. So that's why I asked you that question, because I had that experience, which I thought was so amazing. It
Mhm.
was like I learned a lot, right? And I think it was like African, Brazilian. It had like Brazilian roots. I had, um, I don't know if I had Portuguese roots because I don't know anything about it, but I just found it super fascinating. So I thought that was really cool. So for you as a medium, have you always been a medium, or like did you always feel spirit as a little kid?
Yes, I did. I felt spirit as a kid, and I had my experience throughout the years. But of course, I didn't know what it was exactly, and I had only my grandmother and my aunt who I could talk to actually, because my mother is very afraid until this day of the spirit world, and my father also wasn't into that at all. So yeah, when I had a question, I talked about it sometimes with my grandmother and with my auntie, but I wasn't really interested to dive into it as I am now, of course. That only started when I was about 17, when I had my real first conscious experience with the spirit world, like almost as an adult. And then afterwards, when I finished my study, 10 years later, when I was 27, that was when I felt like now I'm going to develop myself as a medium and take us, yeah, to another level. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So were you ever afraid of your own abilities or no?
yes, yeah, yeah. I was also off of the stories, of course, but also because of the movies, and also because of the Christian church, because I was very Catholic. I was how do you call the little boys who help the priest in church
Oh, the
with
altar boys.
the altar
Yes,
boy.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
Catholic too.
I was there for 6.5 years, and yeah, I was so drained into me that it was work of the devil, and that yeah, you cannot talk with dead people, things like that. So,
Yeah,
and from the 21 division, we also work a lot with spirit guides. So that was also not done to work with spirit guides other than Jesus. So yeah,
yeah.
it was. It took me a long time to get over that fear of the spirit world. Yeah, and also of my own ability indeed, because when I was in college, I picked up a lot of feelings and emotions and thoughts from other people psychically, and I didn't know how to control that. So that was a little bit uncomfortable then, and that was also a reason why when I was at university, then I felt like I need to do something with this, and I need to read about it, and that's when I read about the Arthur Findlay College and the mediumship, the Academy in Naarden, etc. So that's when I really started to learn and understand more about. Yeah.
Do you have a most memorable experience within mediumship, like a story you like to share?
Like story I like to share. Well, let me see. Yeah, there are so many beautiful experiences over the years that I've had. But I think yeah, for me, but that's for me personally, it was the when I was 17, when I was sitting, I was studying, and my head was so full from my law study, and I was just wanted a moment for myself to relax. So I took a moment, I closed my eyes, I sat down just for myself to meditate, not with the intention really to go to the spirit world or anything, but somehow I don't know how, but at some point, my godmother she passed away when I was 9, but somehow she came to me, she appeared to me, and it was very beautiful. It was um, just talking without words. You know, she was there, and I could feel, I could sense, I could hear, I could know everything that she wanted to tell me at that moment. And she embraced me, and she told me she loved me, and it was like, I still get the goosebumps when I talk about it. It was for me the realization that this is a reality. Yeah, the spirit world is so real, and that she is still alive. You know, and that
Yeah.
was when I realized that I'm also a medium, and that I
Yeah.
could that I could see the spirit and hear the spirit, and that for me was something that changed everything, because since then I never doubted anymore. So that was really beautiful, and yeah, for me it's like a knowing because of that experience. Like when people ask me, do you believe in God, or how do you know God is real, things like that. Yeah, that is for me the proof. So I don't I'm not discussing anymore when people think, does God exist or not. I don't yeah, go into debate, yes or no. For me it is real, and it's because of that experience. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we gotta trust our experiences, right? And then we decide what feels right for us. I love that story. That's a beautiful story. I had like goosebumps. So, does your godmother still show up for you now? Like, have you had
Well,
more experiences with her?
not in that strong sense anymore, and I think because yeah, that was the moment that they don't have to convince me anymore, or they don't have to,
Yeah.
yeah, work as hard anymore to do that, because they know that they are real, and that I sit with them so many times, and I think they don't have to. But of course I also had in my mediumship beautiful experiences with clients or at demonstrations where I got the goosebumps, because yeah, I didn't expect that I could bring to a loved one like that. So there are more stories, but that was the one for me that was, yeah, the most intense.
You know what I find interesting as I talk to other mediums, and I don't know if you've noticed this, I feel like we have these intense experiences where we see spirit and you can feel here, yeah, like to convince us to say we're real. And then over time, they don't need to use so much energy for us to have those big experiences. Do you find that? I don't know,
Yes.
just an observation that I've noticed
Mhm.
over time.
Yeah.
So, you're also a platform medium.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So, within a platform, was that always something you wanted to do, or did you just kind of stumble into that? Like, how did that work for you?
Yeah, well, I am still today very shy. So that wasn't something that I thought myself saw myself doing in the beginning, in the early days. And also when I was in the academy, yeah, it's 3 years, and then in the first year you hear, oh, and next year you're going to need to demonstrate, and then when you when you want
Yeah,
to get your paper at the end, you need to do this and that. I thought, oh my God, but yeah, once you are in it and you do it, and yeah, you realize that it's also fun, and it's also yeah, it's a nice experience. So now I love it, I like it. Of course it's still scary, but I think it is up to the spirit world to choose how they can work with us and how we can serve them best. And there are periods in my yeah, in my work that I have 2, 3, 4 demonstrations in a month, and sometimes I don't have any demonstration 6 months. So it really much depends, and I think it is the flow, that you need to go with the flow, like how you can serve the spirit world best, and not say I'm not going to do private sittings or I'm not going to do demonstrations. So
yeah,
I just go with it and see how it goes. And like you say, it is very subtle, and the more I work and the more I develop, the more subtle it gets. So and that's also yeah, trusting it. We don't have to demand the spirit world to give us this intense and live 3D experiences anymore, because that's, yeah, it's too much work. Just
it's a little bit scary, but we have fun with it.
yeah, be
Uh,
fun with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have lots of fun with it. Oh, this is what I was gonna ask you. What is your mediumship like now, as opposed to
Mhm.
what it was when you were younger?
When I was young.
Yeah, like how do you experience mediumship now? Do you still see, hear, feel, or is it more the knowing?
Yeah, yeah. No, now it is. I don't. When I was younger, I heard a lot. So when I was yeah, a child, or in the beginning when I was 17, 20, 21, 24, that period, I could hear the spirit world, both objectively but also within my mind. But now it is very much all together, and because yeah, I don't need to see or hear per se. I just trust on what I feel and what I sense. And because I do that, it's very much when I'm blending with the spirit world as if I'm talking from my own memory at one point. So usually in the beginning of a contact or in the beginning of a demonstration or sitting, then yeah, I feel something, I sense something, and then I just go with that. And sometimes a picture is triggered or a sound to help me understand what I feel. But as I go along and as I keep talking, I just blend and blend and blend and blend. I am just talking from my own memory at one point. So not really focusing on the seeing or on the hearing or anything. So that's very beautiful how that develops. Yeah. Yeah.
It is, and the surrendering, and then you're surrounded by the top mediums in the world,
Yes.
right? To be
Beautiful
trained
to
by
hear. Yeah.
those amazing, incredibly gifted mediums with so much history within their own training, I think is absolutely beautiful. Is there a favorite, I'm curious if there's a favorite story of a mediumship reading that you did, the way the evidence came through, that sticks with you, that you remember?
From my own, when I was working as a medium myself, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Mm, Let me see, let me think. And the way the evidence came through. Mm, yeah, well, I think that is the what I'm just talking about. Well, because it doesn't happen always. That's in the ideal
yeah,
situation, of course. Sometimes I really have to work for it, and then please help me understand. What am I getting wrong here? And then you really have to work hard. But when it happens, when I'm really blending, and it is if I'm becoming the person and I'm just talking from my own memory, that is the most beautiful way for me how the evidence come through, because then I feel and then I know that I am the communicator, and then the recipient also feels. I don't even have to ask, do you understand? Because yeah, it just goes
yeah.
in one flow, and the recipient says yes, and without me asking for the voice, etc. So that is the most beautiful way when that happens, and that doesn't happen every time, of course. So so maybe when people hear me talk, they think that is every time, but it's not like that. No, no, no. Yeah.
I love when that happens because I really get that. But when it happens, it's yeah, you don't need to ask because now you are that person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like everything blends with such ease. So within mediumship, is there like a favorite topic that you like, or a favorite type of, like, more the evidential medium or the trance medium? Like, do you have a preference, or you like them
Um,
all equally?
I like them all equally, and you know, people always they make like a that they differentiate between evidential and psychic, and they do like psychic is something lower, and like evidential is like something with more
Yeah.
higher in the hierarchy or something. But it is both working and blending with the soul. You know, the only difference is the one soul is here in front of you, and the other soul is in the spirit world. So for me, psychic mediumship, evidential mediumship, doesn't matter. I like it both. And for me now, in my own development, I'm developing the trance now. I've been sitting now
Yeah.
for 2 to 3 years for trance. So I'm in the early stages of that. And my development of the evidential mediumship, of course, also continues, but is on a lower key now. So that is what my focus is on, but doesn't mean that I like it more than evidential mediumship. For me, yeah, trance is my passion, but also evidential, also psychic. So even yeah, working with cards, I don't do it, but even when people do that or talk about that, I love it, because as long as it's about healing and it's about with a good intention, you know, to help people forward, that is what it is. And I wanted to ask you, because you said, yeah, your story, you went to South America to that medium. I wanted to ask you, like, did you feel? What did you feel? What was your purpose, and what did you want to gain from that reading? And what did you feel from the spirit world?
So, first of all, I'll answer that. I want to say thank you for explaining the difference between psychic and mediumship, like
Mm-hmm.
how it's still a soul, because I love tarot and I love psychic. So I always find there's this, well, I'm a medium and oh, you do psychic. Like it's almost like less than. and
Mm-hmm.
both are just as valuable because they're both healing, right? You're still healing that person, whether in the spirit world or here. So you're still
Mm-hmm.
being of service to their spirit. So when I went for that reading, it was so weird. I have so many stories. So my dad has a stroke. We get a call. My sister flies out to Portugal because I live in Canada. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, he's not going to make it. So we're like freaking out. And then my sister calls, says, you need to get over to Portugal quick because the doctors don't think he'll make it the next couple of days. So I fly out to Portugal, but I don't have tarot cards. And it's kind of weird to travel without my cards, just saying, because that's just the way I'm wired. But I'm like, okay, my dad, get out there. And then, thankfully everything settles down. He's obviously had a stroke, but he's still with us, right? So that part is good. But while I was there, I was like, I want to see medium. I was so curious because I want to know what's mediumship like in Portugal because there is a lot of fear. And then you'll hear stories about how the gypsies are mediums and
Mm-hmm.
how they're going to get you. I heard a lot of stories about mediums getting you, right? So, because strong Catholic background, strong Catholic country. So there was a lot of fear. And then we found out about a local medium. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's a local medium. Yeah, she reads cards. I was like, she reads tarot. So I was so intrigued because I wanted to know, well, how do they do it here in Portugal? And then
Okay.
when I went to visit her, so this part was interesting because she had 4 altars. I don't really remember all the details because now everything's, it's been it's been over, I think like 6 years. I'm trying to remember. But there was altars when I went in there. And I remember as soon as I walked in, I could feel the spirit world. But I went because I was curious.
Mm.
But there was an altar that honored children, the children that
Mm-hmm.
have passed away, and there were little toys and there was candy and I think there was milk or juice, but she said she would put that out every night for the children to honor the spirit world, and then the next day the wrappers would be unwrapped and the chocolate
Mm-hmm.
would be gone. And do you know about this? Because I just thought that's
Yeah.
so interesting. How does spirit eat chocolate and drink juice? I
Yeah. That's also what we do, and I don't have altars with food yet because in my development, I'm if in my relationship with my spirit guides are from that tradition. I'm not in the stage yet to offer food, etc. But I do offer coffee, water. I do offer a cigar. I do offer a candle, and it's not actually people think it's about the food, but it's about the energy. It's about exchanging energy because you ask something from them. It's like I'm giving something in return. Just like we said, we sit for spirit. We sit. We
yeah.
give our time. We give our energy to spirit for you to work with us, to learn to link with us, and to blend, to use that power when you work. It's like the same thing. Like it's the energy that you offer to the spirit world in return, but you ask for them. So it's not actually that they want, yeah, the candy or anything. So it's more about that.
So
Yeah.
where does the candy go? Where does the liquid go? Now I want to know. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a very incredible story. Yeah.
So that
So.
would happen for her. Then there was 4 altars. Then there was another altar and it had a statue of a black man. And she says, this is to honor the African slaves. I think it was in Brazil. I don't know. It was to honor the slaves. So she goes,
Mhm.
their souls need to be honored.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, cool. Then she had
Mhm.
another altar and it had black roses.
Mhm.
And and it was all dressed up in very dark, like dark black cloth,
Mhm.
black roses, black vase. I remember everything being black at that altar. And she's like, this is to honor the lost souls, those that
Mhm.
are have done, I don't know, bad things on the earth. We need to honor them because they're still souls and we need to pray for them. And and then she had another altar, and I think, because I can't remember, it was a saint. and I can't remember if it was a gypsy saint, Saint Teresa. I don't know because I don't remember. And that was a beautiful altar and it had a saint. But I do remember when we started because there was a tarot reading, there were coins there. And she's like, we need to pay
Mm.
money to the spirit world. This is an offering
Yeah.
to enter the spirit world so you could get a reading. And then another thing she said that was interesting, because then after we were taught, it was an amazing, incredible reading. It was just, I've never experienced anything like that. And so much respect to that as I was learning about how she got trained and her learning. But then we had this conversation, and she was saying every time she goes to the cemetery, she brings money. She goes, you
Hmm.
need to pay passage to get into the cemetery. I thought,
Yeah.
really? Why? I go, don't people steal the coins? She's like, no, it's just, she goes, this is the way I trained in my mediumship. You need to give an offering to
Hmm.
those in the spirit world every time you go to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
heard of that?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that I agree with everything, because I really recognize a lot of what you're saying in your
I don't
story.
really understand.
Like, yeah, probably the black statue is probably Papa Legba or Papa Candelo or something like that, someone like that. And
Okay.
the dark can also be like for the lost souls, but also like you have the black division, the white division, the red division, the Indian division, like that. You have
Yes.
lots of different things that I recognize from the story, and also like yeah, how you can link with the spirit world. I don't necessarily agree, because that's where the how I was trained in like the Western spiritualism way. I
Yeah.
have just a direct link with the spirit world. It's just opening up my soul to the spirit world, and then they are there, like they are here now also. But now I'm not aware of them, of course, because I'm
Yes.
focusing on you. But I don't really need, how do you say, a ritual or some payment to open to the
Yeah.
spirit world. So that's not necessarily that I agree with, but I recognize it and I understand. It's also a way of respect. Like you do something, you're going to do a sacred act, so you have to do something.
Yeah.
So I understand where it comes from. But it takes it took a lot of time for me to overcome like the differences and some things that are clashing, from Christianity and from spiritualism in the Western world, spiritualism in the Caribbean. So there was three religions and three practices that are sometimes not coherent with each other. So but now all is one. So I'm just trying to find my own way, and when something is not feeling right with me, then I'm just leave it, and if it does, then I'll take it on board. So yeah.
I always wondered if the coin, because I know nothing. I'm just curious. And I had the experience. It was fun. Um, it was beautiful reading that I got. But it was different because I'd never experienced anything and so respectful of the way she did it. It was beautiful. But the coins, is that like Egyptian? I don't know, because I'm thinking of like cartoons on TV where
Mhm.
they have like the mummies and they put the coins on the eyes to pay passage to the spirit
Yeah.
world. Is that where that comes from? Like, I don't
I
know.
think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's very much like gypsy or shamanic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
So,
find it interesting. I might have to go research a lot of this and see like where does this come from? Why do people do this in the traditions? Now, I don't even know if those books exist, to be quite honest, or if
mhm.
that's just knowledge that's passed down from their
Yeah.
ancestors.
Usually, yeah, it's very orally passed down tradition. And what you read on the internet and in books, you really have to take it with a grain of salt and be very careful. Consider the source, because there's a lot of bullshit out there, and people also give it a bad name. When you talk about that, it's very easy when you Google it to land on pages or about voodoo and about like all these ancestors and these spirit guys, and then you see pictures with skulls and with blood, etc., and people give
Yeah.
it all the bad name. It's totally not. It's really a religion, just like the Western spiritualism for healing and to help people. So yeah.
And respect to understanding and
Mhm.
honoring everybody's belief system because I think that's important. Like I went in just curious. I had so much fun and I'm like, this is so cool. I've never had this experience. And this is another reason that I started this podcast was to get rid of the fear, like where we
Mhm.
have the conversations like, okay, you had that experience, but let's break it down more to get
Mhm.
to for people to understand it's not scary, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, so that was my experience. Have
it's
you
very
ever
important.
went for a reading that was different? Like I went for that reading completely different. Obviously, I'm a trained medium like yourself, where and through
Hmm.
Arthur Findlay with these incredible tutors through spiritualism. Have you received a reading that was unique too? That's different.
That was different from how we are trained at the
Yes.
college. Yeah. It was very long time ago. It was what is the name in English? When you go to like a hall and there are lots of different tables with lots of different practitioners, and you go, you pay like
Oh, a
one.
psychic fair.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like a fair, yeah, like that. So I went there, it was a long time ago. I think it was 19 or something like that. And yeah, there I had different types of readings, but it was so long ago that I don't remember the details, but I know it was different than how we are trained. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that was very. It was a guy with cars. I know there were cars, and what else? I had to pick a card, and then it was very different in how we work. But yeah, it was also lovely, and the things that he said really also reflected my journey and my life at the moment. So yeah, I think it is. It all helps, you know. It's just a different way of approaching it, but yeah, and that's how I believe we should look at those things, like be open, don't judge
Yeah.
it because from our perspective, and think that we are the best because we are at the college. Like be
No.
open to every practice, and then you will be surprised what you receive, yeah, from that experience. Yeah.
There are incredibly gifted mediums around the world, and I'm sure I've not met them. uh
Mhm.
but one's not better than another. They're just different. And
Mhm.
for those listening to us, and I hope you're enjoying this conversation because I absolutely am. And it's like it's not good or bad, it just is,
Mhm.
and total respect to everything. And it's all about learning about other people's different ways of connecting to the spirit world, which I find super fascinating. And I
Mhm.
love that you're able to help me navigate that experience because it was just fun. I don't really
Yeah,
understand it. But I
it
was
is
just
fun.
like, this is so cool. And now I need to go learn more about it because honestly, I don't really understand it. But
Yeah, yeah. You know, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily a reading, but it was an experience with my aunt. Yeah, she now is unfortunately in the spirit world. She passed away very young, 48. But when I was 16 or 17, I went to her home, and it was because she had to go to court for her children. Children were taken away from her, and the court was, yeah, the case was still running to get the children back. It was very emotional as well, but she was asking her spirit guides to help her in that process, in that process. I was there for emotional support, but also because I have a law background, and also because I was interested in the spiritual side. So I was there for more reasons. But I was back then still very scared of what she was doing, and she was very much working in the trance state back then. So I was sleeping at one point, and she was with her boyfriend, with her partner in the room, and they were doing all these chanting and incantations, you know, to summon the spirit world closer, get them closer. And at one point she got into the trance state, and then a male spirit guide came through, and that was so scary for me back then because I never saw anything like that before. So I heard all these noises, and I was in another room sleeping, and I woke up of the noise. So I went into that room, Bastillion's room, with all the candles and the altars, etc. And then she was there, and then like she was like this big guy, and also with the big guy voice and with the eyes, totally scary to me, you know. And if people
yeah,
hear this, they probably think, "What is that?" But it's totally normal. But if you don't not used to that, then it is scary, you know. And then
yeah.
she did like this, and a totally different way. But that is something that I haven't experienced that, and of course now I understand what that was. But if you don't know what it is, you see that for the first time, it can be really intense. Yeah.
That does
So
sound intense, but it also sounds like, I don't know. I think I'd be scared, but so curious at the same time. So I'd be
yeah.
in the room and I'd be like, yeah, a little bit scared. I think the word scared is just because we don't know what we don't know. So we're like,
Mhm.
what's going to happen next?
Yeah, yeah. That's it. You don't know what you're gonna expect, and yeah,
But
fear of the
also
unknown.
knowing you're totally safe at the same time. It's just a
Exactly.
different way of connecting to spirit. That
Yeah.
is a cool story. So
Yeah.
has anything ever happened like that again to you or no?
No, not to me, not to me. And it is, I know from the stories, people who go to seances like that, the biggest difference is when you go to a trance seance, how we are trained at the college. Usually there is a hall with people or with sitters, and then there's one medium, uh, sometimes someone next to the medium to help the medium, but then the medium just it goes into the trance state, and then the spirit guides come through and talk to the whole public. But usually in the Caribbean way, there is a whole group of sitters, and there is a medium goes into the trance state, and then they ask one person from the public to go. First they talk, have philosophy for everyone, and then they go, you come, and then they talk to them in person, and then send them away, and then the next one, and so that's different in that tradition. Yeah. So usually it is
That's awesome.
they begin with philosophy, but then they invite you one to one. Yeah.
I've never witnessed anything like that. That's on my bucket list. Like I want
Yeah.
to go see like trance doing that. And then isn't that also physical mediumship?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I've
is.
never seen that. I hope to one day be a sitter and witness that because I hear it's absolutely incredible. And there are stories from our pioneers of things manifesting, right? With
Yeah.
in front of all of the mediums. So that sounds my
Pretty
bucket
cool.
list.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things for me to experience in the future. That is so amazing.
I just wanted to add one more thing, if I may, because I just
Yes.
answered that. It's both physical and trance, but for people who don't know the difference, like
Oh,
in the Caribbean spiritualism, there are mediums who have both. And when you go to a seance like that, it is both physical and trance mediumship. But not everyone has the physical mediumship, and that's totally different, because if you do only trance, that is still mental mediumship. If you wanted to know more about that, I can explain that another time, but to know that there's a difference between, yeah.
do you want to explain it to people? Do you have time to explain it?
Oh yeah, I have definitely to explain. Yeah, like you have like
Okay.
mental mediumship, right? It is all from mind to mind mediumship, like evidential mediumship. We blend with the spirit world, with the soul of the spirit world, and then it's a mind to mind communication. And trance is the same, only it is more passive. So when I'm doing platform mediumship, I'm very much in an active state, like I'm talking now. It's like a slightly different state of awareness, but I'm still actively aware with you and with the public. When you do trance, you do like more a passive state of awareness, but it's still mind to mind. When you do physical mediumship, that is when the mediumship works through you, and you produce with the ectoplasm, with the power of the spirit world, with the ectoplasm from your own body. That's when you experience or where you create and manifest external phenomena. So everyone in the room can hear or see what is manifested, and not only the medium, like in mental mediumship. So that is in a short explanation, the difference between physical and mental mediumship. But the important thing is that trance is also under the umbrella of mental mediumship. Yeah.
That is good to know. Have you gone to a physical mediumship demonstration?
Not yet. No, I
Oh,
really
nice.
want. Yeah. I know from here in the neighborhood that, for example, Scott Milligan is a physical medium from
Yes.
the UK. We have Nicole Janssen, Nicole de Haas, Netherlands. She's also a physical medium. And I know not a few that are working on physical mediumship. So it's also on the list to go to them. But yeah, I haven't been yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't been. Yes, I've heard of Scott Milligan. I'm hoping he comes over to Canada. I heard
Yeah.
he goes to the US, so I've been looking to see because that's
Hmm.
closer than flying out to the UK to see him.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's on my bucket list to see him do physical mediumship. But for those that are listening, your training is as a trance medium, correct? Not physical
Yeah,
medium.
as a mental mediumship is my training. Yes. I have heard from a few mediums, also from tutors at the Findlay College, that they see physical mediumship faculty within me. And also when I sat for trance, I've not experienced it myself, but people who were observing, they said that they saw physical phenomena, but I'm not sitting for physical mediumship. And right now in my development, I don't feel the ambition to sit for that, also because of my health. And it's very taxing on the health, so that I'm really a bit hesitant, to sit for that. But if the spirit world wants to go there with me, then I will surrender also eventually to that and go and sit for physical mediumship. But that's not what I'm doing at the moment.
You know what? Thank you so much for explaining that to all of us. I just want to say thank you so much for being with us during this time. And if people want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you, Jeffrey?
People can reach out to me via my website. It's mediumjeffrey.com. They can send me an email or also on social media, on Facebook or on Instagram. On Facebook, my name is Jeffrey Becker, and on Instagram is Jeffrey Becker 1990. And they can send me a direct message, and I will answer them as well. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And thank you so much to everybody for listening. I will have all of Jeffrey's information within the show notes on the podcast and in the YouTube channel. So thank you so much. Okay. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you, Maria.